Gardner Homes to another session of On the Couch with Janet from McNeill Real Estate. So Judy, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Very good to see you here. Now, just a couple of questions, Judy. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my partner Scott and I own and operate GJ Gardner Homes in Main Street, Mornington. We've had the office open there for about 3.5 years now. We've moved down to the peninsula with our family. Scott's always holidayed down here, so he's been here all for lots of years.
Yes.
So he worked on me, and now I'm down here too. Should have come down sooner, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. So where were you before?
I grew up in Moorabbin and Edendale, so still
on the water.
Still on the water. Yeah,
that's
right.
Beautiful. No, that's fantastic. So what do you now, having moved here, what do you like most about living on the Mornington Peninsula?
Oh, there's a number of things. I love the sense of community down here. The people are friendly. Everyone knows each other. You can usually find someone who knows somebody else, and it's nice to have that sense of community. I love the environment, being able to go for a walk on the beach and the parks and things like that.
Yeah, I saw some of your photos the other day on the beach. They look fantastic.
Over taking photos of the beach, I do it a lot.
Yes.
I'm not over it, I like doing it. So I overdo it, perhaps.
Overdo it, yes. No, but it's a beautiful spot. So you were saying GJ Gardner's been in Mornington 5 years?
3.5 years.
Okay.
So we opened the office on the 1st of March in 2017, so an easy number to remember.
Yes.
1st of March.
Yes.
And so 3.5 years now, so we're keeping busy.
So have you sort of grown? Was just you and Scott initially? Have you got more staff?
Yeah, sure. So we opened just with us, with ourselves, and then we employed someone to help us out with the new home sales. So there was 3 of us in the business for the first 12 months or so. Yeah. We then employed a site supervisor and someone to help us with contracts. So there was 5 of us for the last couple of years, and we've recently just employed a new site supervisor who started today, which is fantastic because we want to make sure that we keep on top of the builds that we have, and looking to take on potentially 2 more people in the next little while too. So that'll take us to 7. So
that's brilliant. So how many sort of builds? Do you just focus on the Mornington Peninsula, or further afield, or sort of how many houses do you build at a time? Or?
Yeah, sure. So we build all across the Mornington Peninsula. Our turf, if you like, is the Mornington Peninsula Shire. One of the great things about a franchise is that whilst we've got because we've got the territories, we don't compete with our other colleagues in other offices, which is fantastic for a sense of community and family within the business, and offers that support network and structure through the business as well. So we build on the Mornington Peninsula. Yes. At the moment, we've got 18 houses under construction at the moment. So it's good. We're growing. Keep busy.
That's brilliant. So with those builds, you've obviously got people in the office, but who actually does the build?
Sure. So our site supervisor does the coordination for the build on a day-to-day basis. Hence, we've taken on a second site supervisor to manage the volume that we have. We subcontract all of our work out. We employ all local people. So we employ local trades wherever possible to make sure that we're engaging with the community and contributing to the community down here. So all local trades. And so we work with a group there to make sure that we're working with people who are offering quality and
good.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Do a good job.
Excellent. So, sort of, I guess, why did you decide to start this business as the GJ Gardner Group, and who is your ideal client?
Sure. So, Scott's always had a fascination with building. He'll tell you that he either played with cars or built things when he was a kid.
Okay. So he's just a big kid.
That's right. And so he started to get interested in building. We've both got a background in cars, so perhaps we've both done the cars thing.
Yes.
And so Scott started to get more actively involved in building a number of years ago, and the opportunity came up to purchase the GJ Gardner Homes franchise. And when we spent some time talking to them, we realised that our values in terms of what we could offer clients from a build perspective was very closely aligned with GJ Gardner Homes. So the focus on quality, the focus on customer service, cost-effective builds, flexibility in designs, all those things are things that GJ Gardner Homes will do.
Okay.
And so we found that was a really good balance for our values, and it was a good match.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. So I was going to ask you actually, with when you're talking about a house plan, so I guess most people will either go to a place and there's a house plan already built, already designed, or they've got an idea in their mind of what they actually want, but they don't know how to put that into paper.
True.
So how do you sort of guide people or help people sort of choose a design? And I guess if they've got the land first, it would have to be something that's going to suit that land as well. So how do you sort of work with people to come up with their ideal plan?
Yes, it's always an interesting question. We do have people come in to say, look, we've seen this design, it's fantastic, I want to build it. And we're just like, that's great, what land have you got? Oh, we haven't got the land just yet. That's always a bit tricky. It is important to design the house in conjunction with the land, because it will constrain what's possible. We have got a catalogue of literally hundreds of house designs, so we find we usually have a conversation with people around what their ideal home is, number of bedrooms, number of living areas, single story, double story,
sort of how they were going to live in
how they're going to live in it, what suits them and their circumstances. And we also talk to them about what their budget is as well, because we want to make sure there's no point in suggesting to someone a particular design if it exceeds their budget. You've got to operate and be respectful of people's budgets. So with that conversation, we'll usually have a design, at least one, if not more, that meets those requirements, and we'll have a conversation, we'll talk through a couple of those designs, and we'll then often make changes to those designs too, so that people can actually adapt it more specifically
to their needs,
to what they want.
That's interesting, because a lot of the sort of big builders, this is the floor plan and this is what you're getting.
That's right.
And that's
right. And we do get that feedback. And so we find by being able to offer that level of service to be able to modify the house price, there's no fee to change the house design. That's part of the construction of the process. The price is attached to the size of the house and the content, but you can change any of our designs, and there's no cost for doing that. And we do find in some circumstances that we'll actually, people are keen to do completely their own home, starting with a clean sheet of paper. So we do that with some of our clients as well. And we even actually have people come in with a design that's already done. And so we'll work with people with that.
So they've got their own architect.
Yes, that's right. So they've already got plans drawn up by often a local architect or somebody else, and they're looking for someone to build it. So of our homes at the moment, somewhere around 50% of them could be complete custom homes. So we do try and offer that level of flexibility.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I guess nowadays you have to build to sort of energy ratings. How does that sort of work? And what happens if someone makes a change, like puts a window in or takes a door out or whatever? I don't know how you affect energy ratings, but you do.
No, you're absolutely spot on. So every house that's built must meet a minimum of 6 stars from an energy rating perspective. The position of the house on the block, the construction materials, the number of windows, size of windows, single glazing, double glazing, the type of slab, if it's a concrete slab that it's built on, or if it's on stumps, all those things will influence the energy rating. What we do through the course of the design process, once we're working with a client in a specific block, is that we will have the design of the block rated and assessed individually, because it changes from house to house, block to block. So you've got to do everything. That's right. So the sun coming into north-facing windows, the orientation on the site, the construction of the home, all has an impact. So every house needs to be assessed individually. So in our select range of homes, we have double glazed windows as standard. Yes, as standard our mid-range. Waffle pod slabs, a good level of...
A waffle pod.
It's
a waffle pod slab. Say that quickly with a drink.
That's exactly right. So there's a number of different basic engineered solutions for slabs. Waffle pod's one, raft slabs is another, for instance. A waffle pod slab's got a good level of insulation in it because it actually is built on foam blocks, and the concrete's poured over the foam blocks. It's all engineered, so it doesn't matter which way you go as far as the slab is concerned. But a waffle pod slab with the foam in it gives you a good amount of insulation between the slab and the ground, so you don't lose too much energy through the slab into the ground.
So what happens with movement? Because sort of concrete slabs tend to sort of move or settle. Does that affect them?
Well, they're all engineered, so
Right.
soil testing is done at the start of the process to determine what type of soil is present on the block. So quite often with a site that's had a home demolished or lots of trees removed, it'd be a P-class site, that P-class site. So the design of the home is then given to a structural engineer, and the structural engineer will design the concrete slab appropriate to the soil type.
Right.
So every slab
That's
is
really
designed.
interesting.
Every slab is designed to be site specific,
Right.
and they'll also do the rest of the structure of the home as well.
Okay.
So
It's amazing.
that's right. So the energy rating and assessment is done through the course of the process, because what we like to make sure of is that before the client signs a contract with us, that they understand the full cost of the home, including things like what's required for energy ratings, for engineering of the slab, all those things.
So all of that is agreed at the beginning. You work out all the costs of it. So what you sign up for today is what it's going to cost you.
That's right.
Come settlement, unless during that period someone suddenly decides, well, actually, I want a different sort of kitchen, or I want, I want different flooring, or what have you. Then there's a cost for that.
Correct. There's a couple of little things that can trigger cost changes after the contract has been signed. We work very closely with clients up to contract signing to make sure that we can reduce as many of those as we possibly can, so that we don't influence the costs after contract, because we are very aware that's a hot button for people. You and I both know that once we know what the number's going to be, we don't want that to change.
Exactly.
And so we work very hard to make sure that we can get that as accurate as possible right up front.
Oh, that's fantastic. That sounds very, very different. So do you offer any sort of other services to people? So what else have you got available?
Well, one of the things that we do for our clients is offer to manage planning permit processes, whether they're wanting to build a 2-story home in an overlay that needs a planning permit, whether they're looking for a subdivision to be done. We'll work with all of our clients and take on that process for them as well. So we often, because planning permits are nothing to be afraid of, but are quite commonly required in the Mornington Peninsula. So we offer the service of doing that so that our clients can have effectively a one-stop shop to be able to do planning permits all the way through to handover of a home.
That's brilliant. Takes a lot of pressure off people.
It does. It means they only need to talk to one person, or one business, and it means too that there's a lot of different services. Most people may never build a home or only build one or two. So to be able to have someone who knows the system, the process,
to speak to, and
correct. It just takes that bit of pressure off.
No, that's fantastic. All right. So obviously you're in Mornington. How do people find you?
How do you find us? You can jump onto our website, www.gjgardner.com.au. You can give us a call in the office anytime you like. We're open 9 till 5, 6 days a week. Think about that. Must be because my hours are longer than that. So you can give our office a call on 5975 1122. Jump onto the website. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, so if people want to join us there too. That's exactly right.
See what you're building. That's
come and find us.
So obviously you do have an office though, so people can do they need to make an appointment, or can they just walk in, or?
It is. We do have people that walk in, which is absolutely fine. It's always good to make an appointment if you can, because we like to take time to really understand each person's needs and wants individually, and that takes a little bit of time to talk things through. So we usually find an initial appointment is usually about an hour. And we'll talk to people through that process and then arrange next steps as they're required. And we do all of our colour selection and all that sort of stuff in our office too, so people can come in and look at the tiles and the bricks and the taps and all that sort of stuff all in the office.
So you've got all that in the office? Oh, fantastic.
Right.
So you don't have like a display home in the office, obviously.
Unfortunately, not. We'd love to have a display home, but that's a little bit challenging on the peninsula. There aren't the big releases of land down here like there are in some other areas. But we more than make up for that with everything in the office.
No, that's fantastic. What size is the smallest house you've ever built, and the largest?
The smallest house we've ever built would be about 170 square metres, a 3-bedroom home in Somerville. That's probably the smallest home we've built. The largest home that we've built, we have one in construction at the moment that's over 500 square metres.
Wow.
We have a real mix of houses. We
Yes.
have houses for as for smaller budgets. We've got houses for the larger ones. We've actually got a 3-storey home in construction at the moment too, with a basement and a lift. So
Oh, good heavens.
lots of variety.
So there's nothing you can't build.
It's all a matter of arranging the details.
Yeah, that's true. That's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Judy. This has been really interesting, and we've learned a lot about your business and about yourself. And that's been great. So thank you very much. And that's the end of another segment of On the Couch with McNeill Real Estate.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you.